Hey there, game gurus. Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm looking at something a little bit different. This is something I ordered about 1.5 years ago, and actually I didn't really forget about it, but it's one of those things where I paid for it and I was like, is it ever going to come to fruition? Am I ever going to see this thing? And the other day it actually did come, and I'm quite happy so far what I've seen on the box. It's my Space 1999 launch pad with miniature eagle. Now this is a TV show from 1975. And for some reason I've always had a weird love affair with the launch pad. I don't know why, but I definitely love the eagles. So let's take a little look at this here from the TV show Space 1999 Eagle Launch Pad's launch set. Let's unbox and have a look. Okay, so here it is. It's a rather large box. The company that manufactured this is 1612, and I remember they came out a few years ago. They do make a lot of these metal eagles and hawks, a lot of things from the show, and you know I would like to buy them all, but this was about $300 if I'm not mistaken, paying for this one alone. And the eagles are probably around $200, but they have if you like Space in 1999, they do make a lot of nice sets like the Comlock and phasers and stuff like that. But this was actually an early order, so I think I actually maybe paid $270 for this. But it had to be converted to pounds because the company's in England, so all the US currency has to go into pounds. And the box is in pretty good shape. There's a couple little warps in it, but you know, that kind of happens. If you can see here, we have original sound effects. So one of the cool things about this is there is some sound samples built in. Plays some sounds of the eagles and so forth on here. Original dialogue, there's probably some communication from the crew. The electronic docking tube is kind of nice too, because this part right here, there's a dock that actually comes out and attaches and mates to the eagle. The illuminated landing lights, I'm looking forward to that too. You'll see that all around the pad, little LEDs light up just like it did in the show. Eagle 1 transporter, which is included right there. I'm not sure, I think it's metal, it could be plastic, I don't know, we'll find out when we get inside. And it says Alpha Moon Buggy as well, and that's probably to scale. Now this is actually, when people watch this, you didn't realize how big the ship was, but this thing is actually quite big. Again, we'll try and get to scale a little bit later. But that's just the front of the box. Again, it's a little warped on here, but it did come from England. Overall, it came very well. Just some more stuff on the back. Kind of showing you here is that docking port that goes to the Eagle. There's the Eagle on the pad. And these are the launch pads. I believe there were 3 officially, but sometimes see pictures of 4 landing pads. But there's actually 3 supposed to be on the moon base. And you see that the center part actually goes down. So when the Eagle lands, that whole pad will go down to a hangar bay, which again, in the TV show is just kind of cool. We're talking 1975. Fun fact that the Eagles looked too much when George Lucas, I can change that, George Lucas was doing Star Wars, the original Millennium Falcon looked too much like the Eagle, and George Lucas actually said you need to change it. It looks way too much like the Space 1999 Eagle. And let's see, we have right here the Moon Base Alpha launch pad. At strategic points about the Moonbase Alpha complex, there are 5, okay, so it was 3. There are 5 launch pads that form the main arrival and departure of the platform of the base. While a variety of Earth and alien spacecraft can be accommodated by these platforms, their primary use is for deployment of Alpha's signature spacecraft, the Eagle Transporter. Housed in a huge engineering and storage hangars underneath the moon base, Alpha's fleet of Eagles can be raised on hydraulic platforms to the launch pads as required and spaceborne in minutes. And again, we have the sound effect dialogues, docking tube, landing lights, highly detailed transporter, Eagle 1 with detachable, but detachable pod and engine bells? Interesting. And Alpha Moon Buggy. So let's get into this. And again, it's by 1612, and this is actually the first thing I actually got from them. I've had die-cast Eagles from a number of people. This is the first thing I've gotten from 1612. I've heard very good things. So let's get this thing out of the box and let's have a look. And you know how I am with boxes, so I'm trying to be as delicate as I can. Okay, we'll put this to the side. Because to me, these are all collectible items. And again, we can see right here, they have some like a star background on here. And let's get this thing out. Now, this tiny little thing right here, that is a Moon Buggy. That Moon Buggy can hold 2 people. So you get a size of a scale when we take it out. how big the ship actually is. So it looks like this just may lift right off. Not quite sure. It looks like it is possibly taped. I think it is. All right, I'm going to turn this thing upside down. There is tape underneath. So what's kind of cool is when you look at the bottom of this, it may be hard to see on the camera, they actually have a outline of the Alpha moon base there. That's moon base Alpha. I think it's about 3 miles in diameter, and they do have 5 pads. 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah, 5 pads. I always remember 3. Maybe the model I have only has the 3 on there. But in any case, get that out of the way. We got to remove this tape here as best we can. Okay, there's one. There we go. Okay, we got the tape out of the way. The tape I won't save. The tape is okay to get rid of. So it looks like we have in here as well, which is it's taped in again. They actually gave you a little screwdriver. It looks like maybe an instruction manual, a couple extra screws in here. So we'll put that aside for a second. I'll put it back over here. Okay, so I can definitely say I paid, I want to say about $275 American. That was converted to pounds. Feels very plasticky, at least this here. This thing feels like there's nothing. I mean, this thing, I'm surprised it's not floating away. That's how light it is. And the plastic feels extremely delicate. Extremely delicate. But it is quite detailed. This is the landing pad part right here. But I'm going to say it feels incredibly thin. So I would have expected, at least on the bottom under here, this to be a little bit of a stronger plastic. And it looks like if I put too much pressure on it, I will break it. So I'm not happy about that, but it's about the overall effect. So this is the main pad. And the decal looks like it's on fairly well. I do see some bubbling on the pad. We'll get another look at it later. Now, this is the contact point, I'm assuming, for the dock that comes out. But you can see the paintwork looks pretty good. I mean, it's fairly detailed. It is. There's some definitely bubbling here on some of these decals. I'm sure the air will get out eventually. But I am really shocked with the price point with the plastic that's on here. The plastic is very flimsy, again, on the bottom itself. But again, that's one thing we'll look at here. The next part, I think we have to open this thing up. It's 2 separate pieces. There we go. So I'm going to say that this cheap plastic cover feels like the same plastic they're using on the bottom of the landing pad. So again, I really wouldn't complain, but the amount of money I spent on this, even though it's a limited production run, I expected a little bit firmer of plastic on there. Next, we'll take a look at the other part of the. This definitely feels a little bit better. This is what I would have thought the quality on the whole thing would be. This is the docking extender, and once again, I think the paint job on here is pretty good. We'll get some more shots of it later. And so that part looks okay. And again, this feels a little bit better. Again, I still feel it feels like something you would find like a Hallmark store kind of plastic. But there is a lights button, sound, and docking on here. And this does require batteries, which I'm sure is not included. So I'll have to probably find some batteries for that and put that down. The next thing we have in here I'm going to pull out is the Moon Buggy. If I can get out. There it is. So this thing is tiny. So this little guy right here is tiny, tiny, tiny. There it is. On my thumb. So that is a Moon Buggy. That holds 2 people. You see how small that is. And then we'll get the Eagle out. So this little guy right here again, it's very light. I thought it'd be metal or something, but it is actually plastic. And again, for its size, I guess it's okay. I'm gonna put that down here on the landing pad. And the final item is the actual Eagle transporter. And I'll try to get it out, and I can already tell it is. It's definitely plastic, for sure. So again, here is the Eagle itself. Put it on my hand right here. And this is also plastic. So I'm a little disappointed they weren't metal. I know other items that they make are metal. And again, I was kind of hoping it'd be a little bit better than this. But the detail looks very, very nice. And let me see if I get this Moon Buggy back on here. So I'm going to put the Moon Buggy actually on one of the landing pods right here. If I can without dropping anything. There we go. So you can kind of get a scale of how big the ship is when you consider 2 people are supposed to go in that buggy and how big the Eagle is. So let me get this thing put together, get some batteries, and we'll take a look at it again. It's a nice kit, if you will. I mean, it's very detailed on here, but again, I would have thought for the price, it would have been a little bit more metal, because this right now, you gotta be careful with it. I'm basically gonna say that right now. So I'm gonna get some batteries, and let's try it out, because if the effect is really good, sometimes you can forgive certain other things. So I'll be right back with some batteries. Okay, so here it is assembled. Again, they had a screwdriver included here. The screws you put on the bottom to lock this all in place. So visually, it looks really, really nice. It looks like it's a quality item by looking at it. But again, all the plastic on here, I would say at best, is like a Hallmark keepsake type of plastic. And the underneath is even thinner than that. The Eagle is, again, very detailed, but it's all plastic, and so is the little Moon Buggy here. But let's take a look at some of the things that it does come with. So we can turn on some lights. And it looks kind of nice. The lights really do give a really nice effect to it, remembering it back from the show. And they have some sound effects, and the speakers are not very loud. I'm not sure if it'll pick up on the camera, but let's find out.
Gravity shields 50% power. Come in, main mission, counter calling. Survey Eagle heading for Alpha.
Emergency Operation Exodus. Indefinite factors. 1. Moon on unknown trajectory. 2. Constantly changing G-forces due to Moon's movement away from Earth. 3. Insufficient data to compute flight plan. All factors in memory bank relating to Operation Exodus inapplicable. Insufficient data available under prevailing circumstances. Human decision required.
Computer, command order. Cancel safety restrictions on Launchpad 4. Give me access. Dr. Russell, get the medical team over to Launchpad 7.
We're on our way.
Eagle 2 and Eagle 7 return to base. Fall evacuate all personnel from Launchpad 1. Question, stand by.
Eagle 2, Dr. Eagle 1, Commander.
All right, take it away. Give it everything we've got. Eagle 2, jettison your passenger module to pick us up at Launchpad 1. Eagle 3 and 4, immediate liftoff. Eagle leader to Alpha. Alien spaceships dead ahead. Hello. Fire at will. Now you're talking. Eagle 1. Commander. Intercept that spacecraft. Lift off. Eagle 2. Lift off. Lift off.
Okay, so we have the lights, we have sound effects, but we also have this docking arm. That's how the crew got on and off the Eagle on Moonbase Alpha. And there's a button for that. So let's press it and see what happens. That, I admit, is kind of cool. I mean, so again, I'm not too impressed with the plastic that they use, but that alone is actually really cool, and I don't think they do a very good job because they actually push the Eagle out of the way. And of course, in the real reality of the fake show, that would never would have happened because the Eagle would have been too much weight, but that is still pretty cool. So we hit it again. I'm assuming the docking arm will retract. I have to admit, the lights and the arm going back and forth kind of saved this for me. That's just a childhood dream of having something like this. The speaker is not very loud. Again, I don't even know if you guys heard any of these sounds that came out of it. But it's overall, you know, again, I just know the price this goes for is probably around $250 to $300. And of course, as these become more and more hard to get, because they're very limited runs, the price will go up. And I just think that again, I'm going to keep going on the plastic. It's one thing I'm a little disappointed on. It's not being metal. Okay, that's fine. But I do think that the plastic could have been a little more rigid and feel more substantial for the money. But again, we have our little Moon Buggy over here on the corner. And we have our nice little eagle here. And the eagle has a decent weight, and it feels kind of solid. Now, it said it had removable parts on here, but I don't know really what would be removable here. It looks like the pod will come out. This pod will come out. But I don't want to risk breaking it, to be quite honest. I'll wait for someone else to try and do that. I'm not sure what's even holding it on, but it does feel, the pod here does feel loose. Now, in the original show, this pod was interchangeable with other pods. That's kind of why the Eagles were like the workhorse of the base. Well, you can see right here, again, everything's very detailed on here. We have our landing pads, which look really good. Our plastic, but it's supposed to be like aluminum or some type of metal engine bells on there. And of course, the pod, the signature pod of the Eagle, looks fantastic. And of course, the engine area looks really nice too. So overall, again, I ordered this so long ago. I am still very happy with it, but I am still slightly disappointed over the materials that were used. Okay, so what are my final thoughts of this? Well, you know, I'm a huge Space 1999 fan, so I'm going to love this anyway. But I just want to be honest. It looks great. And if it was on a shelf or behind a glass cabinet, you know, to be looked at, the lights on here look really, really good. And the docking mechanism looks good. All the Eagle, everything looks great. I'm a little disappointed with the sound not being very loud. But I'm really disappointed with the quality of the plastic. Again, it's okay. But again, this wasn't a $60 item or a $100 item. It's more than double, if not $250 to $300 in price range, like I said. So for that, I am disappointed. But overall, again, just being a fan, I love having this. I think it looks great. I like the lights. They can go on and off, just like on the base. And I'll get a shot here of this thing in the dark as well. But again, you have to be a big fan of the show to have something like this. Again, it's also pretty large. So you also have to have a good spot to put it. But again, I'll say it one last time. I think that the build quality plastics could have been better. But other than that, if you're a fan of Space 1999 like I am, I don't think you'll be overly disappointed because it still looks great. But I do wish it was a little bit more robust. So that's it for today's episode. And again, you can actually watch Space 1999 right now on Amazon. This also, I believe, episodes on YouTube as well. If you never saw the show before, it ran from 1975 to 1976. It had 48 episodes. Season 1, I thought, was the better of the two seasons. Season 2 did have some good episodes, but I think the quality of the show in Season 2 just was not as good as it should have been. But again, I do like this. I just think it was a little bit on the pricey side. So that's it for today's episode, everyone. So if you did like it, please give me a thumbs up and share the video. It really means a lot to me. It takes a second for you guys, but it does mean a lot to me. And again, no matter what TV show you watch or how you play with your toys, just remember to tell your family and friends that you love them. And most of all, enjoy the show.
Tiny Arcade fan page. Remember, don't admire people too much. They'll disappoint you.
Sit, Blue Blue, sit. Good dog.